So good evening again, viewers. Welcome again to the United Unbiased show. And tonight we have esteemed guest, FIFA present in the house. Welcome, Mr. Kevin Morrison. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I am doing great. I am in good health. I just want to use this opportunity to say thanks to you for giving me this opportunity to, share football referee in particular, but football in general to your listeners. I just want to say that I'm here to share and just to say to the youngsters out there who would like to become a referee or who have not thought about it. I hope after doing this interview, they will think about it. And I just want to use this opportunity also to say to the world, because we are now facing a pandemic, and we have persons who have lost job, we have lost so many lives. And I just want to say to Jamaica, let us follow the protocols that is set out by the authority in terms of health in your different countries. And hopefully soon we can get rid of this virus so we can go back to normality.
Well said, well said. We really need that because, as you realize, some persons just won't follow protocols. So, well said, Mr. Morrison. Well said, sir. Now, I know you many years. Many years indeed. And Mr. Kevin Morrison, the referee. So, not many youngsters, as you said, would actually aspire to be a referee. And if you think about it, probably know when they see a Kevin Morrison, right? Somebody that is close to them being an international referee, a FIFA referee, that could actually help to motivate some youngsters in this field. So you just tell me a bit about how you started out in this refereeing thing. How did you move from phase one to where you are now?
All right, it's a long journey, Mark. I remember between 1989 and 1990, I used to play for my primary school, which is Maypen Primary School. And I got selected for the Clarendon team. And that is with John Green and Light Plummer. And I just want to use this opportunity to raise my hat to those two gentlemen who are stalwart in football, especially youth football in our country. And I just want to use the opportunity to say that may their soul rest in peace. They have done so much for Clarendon football and Jamaica by extension. But I got involved in refereeing because of John Green. I remember getting selected for the Clarendon Under 12 team back in 1989-90, right? And when I went to the first trial, it was a trial. About 100 had children around there. Because, you know, John Green select the players from all over the parish.
Yeah,
right, and the whole day he will there with these children to select the best out of what he would have invited. And I happened to reach there very early, and I play in the first trial match, and I was get selected out of that first game. And I think John Green said, "Who would like to ref?" And I said, "I would like to ref." And I ref the rest of trial games from that, and the rest is history. The rest is history. That's how I get involved in refereeing from a tender age. I think I was 12 at that time. So that's how I started refereeing.
Excellent. And that's his started refereeing. So at that time, let me ask you this, because you went there as a footballer.
Yes.
Not as a referee. So you went there as a footballer, and eventually you developed that love for refereeing through that thing. So now, how did you, let's say, balance you being a footballer versus being a referee moving forward? How did you actually move apart from being that footballer to being a referee?
All right. So how do I balance it? I still play football, but what I do or what I did is that I ref in the games that I really don't play. And that would have involved the John Green Primary School League that you run over the years, which is like the under 12 and the under 15. For those times, you used to have a lot of all age schools. So those are the leagues that I normally ref. Light Plumber used to have a summer league that you run in the summer. So those are the little leagues that I normally ref, under 14 and under 16. Some of the times I don't ref, I will just play because I play in the summer league. So you will find out that I don't ref because I'm playing. So I balance it up and ref those games when I was going to high school, right? I played the Casa Cup for about 4 to 5 years. At that time, I still work in those John Green leagues until it reached a stage where I have to decide to either ref or play. So that's how I balance in between until I reach a certain age that I have to make a decision, because now I reach a certain age that I want to promote it. I want to move further in refereeing. And to tell you the truth, I could have played football, but I realized that I was not one of those players who will make it to the top in terms of play at that high level to get professional contract. And I see where I could make that headway in refereeing. Hence, I choose refereeing over football.
And
So that's how I
well,
balance it.
that's a very, very good choice because now you're on top of the game because you're a FIFA referee. And I don't
Right.
think there's any higher level that you can go, right?
No, that's the
Exactly.
highest FIFA.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I can remember, I was watching, I was right here in Kuwait and
Right.
I was looking at my TV and they were at international games. And I think it was Israel playing somebody else. I'm not sure if it, I think it was Israel playing somebody else. And I was just watching my TV and I'm like, huh?
Israel playing Honduras. That game playing in the US.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh,
I
that's
remember that
Kevin,
game. It
man.
was a friendly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a friendly game, and I'm like, oh, that's Kevin. And I'm like, yeah, believe me, it's nice to see somebody that you know, somebody close to you, somebody who you can actually drive down the road and you can pass, you can stop here, and you see that particular person, and you realize that that person is at the top of the
Top.
pinnacle of that profession. And it's a
Yes.
very controversial profession because
True.
it's a situation where you find yourself in a position, sometimes it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Because you make a call for somebody, the other person believe that guess what, the call should be for them. So now in the middle, it's because I can remember a friend of mine, a very, very close friend of mine. I don't know, you might heard of him. Andrew Smith. He's from Manchester.
Yeah, man. I think he's a counselor now, or he's going. Yeah, man. I know
Yes,
Andrew Smith. Yeah, man. I
yes,
know him.
man. That's Andrew Smith.
Yes.
He,
We used to work together when he used to ref. He was a good assistant referee too.
yes.
And we used to work together as a team. I'm not sure if it was in the under 21 or I think it's under 21. I'm not sure if we actually work in the Premier League, but I used to work with him as a member of my team whenever we do it under 21
Oh,
games. So
that
I know him quite well.
very, very good. And right now, I'm just thinking about it because right now he's not refereeing anymore. Is
No,
because of an incident. All right, I was told because of an incident. No, you have been in this situation many, many years. So how do you navigate through this? Because I know at some point in time you'll have the crowd, you'll have fans being very, very disrespectful. I know that I've seen it. I've played many games where the fans are very, very disrespectful to the referee. Players too can be very, very disrespectful. So
true.
how do you go ahead and deal with that? How do you prepare for that mentally? How do you deal with that?
One of the key thing growing up as a youngster, and one of the thing I know I possess is that you have to mentally tough, right? If you're not mentally tough, then you're going to have serious problems, not just in refereeing, but in life.
Well, that's true.
Because they are going to come hurdles sometime in life that you have to jump. And if you're not mentally tough, then you're not going to go over those hurdles. So what give me that opportunity is that because based on how I was grow up in a situation where I have to be mentally tough, right? And that's how I use that situation to bring me through refereeing. And you are perfectly right. In refereeing, and I'm talking about local because international is a little bit different. It is far, far, far different from what you face.
Yeah, because
And,
I really need I really need for you to actually guide me between the differences as it relates to international football versus the local football.
it is very different in terms of what you face locally in terms of internationally. But to tell you the truth, one of the thing as a youngster growing up, and I've gone through a lot, and that's why I have to be thankful and I have to say thanks to the persons who have assisted me in reaching where I reach in refereeing. And there are a lot of persons, and I just want to use the opportunity to say thanks to. Of course, I want to say thanks to John Green and Light Plummer. Right, there are Howard Scarlett, they have Dave Meikle, there are Victor Stewart, there are Michael Wong, there are Andrew Bennett. There are so much of them and my referee colleagues who would have helped me and support me because without the support, then there's not much you can achieve because you need that support. Right. So how do I mitigate from those spectators who sometimes will abuse you? That I've gone through so much. I would have worked in so many leagues across Clarendon, and these leagues would have developed me into who I am now. So in terms of abuse, whether verbally, I think in terms of physically, I think I would have been abused one time in my refereeing career physically, right? And I can remember doing a Division One game around my country club. I think it named now the Hazeldean Stadium, and I was doing a game with Harlem and somebody. And I can't remember. I think it was the same decision I make in terms of this disallowing a goal. I think it was Harlem score, and there was this brown guy from who supporter of Harlem. He attacked me after the game, and we actually fight.
Yeah?
Yeah, and we actually fight, and I can remember distinguishedly. I have to beat him up. Yeah, but yeah, man, I remember because maybe I want to look a bad boy too, Mark. So nobody feels they could run up on me, and it's all good. So me and him actually fight.
Understand that, man.
Yeah, fully been through those already, experienced those. So going into those situations would have not been a problem, right? What I try to do though is that sometimes I tend to block out these spectators, right? There's a spectator, and maybe you would have known him or know him, but he's a spectator from Arnett Gardens, the Rasta guy. Oh my God, man! Every time you do a game with Arnett Garden, this Rasta man will dip on you and he will tell you some things. And what's funny about it, Mark,
Uh-huh.
he will run around the field. So say you're on this side, you made a decision, and you're gone. He's so full. The game is moving, and he will run around that side to come on there to tell you, and then he will run around and he's just. But the good thing is though, when the game done, you and him can sit down, have a drink, and you can talk about the game. He's like that. He's a really wonderful spectator, even though he give you a hard time when you're refereeing Arnie Gardens game. But at the end of the day, he will always say, referee, you know what certain thing, man, big up. And that is a good thing about him.
Well,
Trust me.
you definitely have passionate, passionate spectators, and you won't
Yeah.
get away from that. But the good thing, as you said, after the game, all is well, all is done, and you can move forward, which is good. We wish we have more of that, though. We wish we
Yeah,
have more of
true.
that in football. But as I said, that's Jamaica for you. But on the international scene, as you mentioned earlier, it has to be, it must be different. It must be a lot different on the international scene. So how is it? How is it? Because there's one thing I'm going to have to ask you. I'm going to ask you, how do you feel when you're refereeing these international games and it's related to being intimidated? But don't hold on a minute. I don't want the answer for that yet. I want you to tell me now how it is different from Jamaica when refereeing on the international scene. How is it different?
All right. So one have to remember that working at the local scene, right? One of the first thing we have to look at is the professionalism that you would have seen in terms of international games and the local games, right? The atmosphere is different, right? The pace of the game is different, right? The behavior of the players is different. The behavior of the coach and managers and spectators towards your decision is different. So it's a big gap, right? When you're referee in Jamaica, and of course, this is your local league, and this is what propel you to get these international games,
Yeah.
right? And the standard of the game sometimes is not what you want it to be, but you as a referee have to take what you can take from the game, and you have to think big. So you're doing a Premier League game with the two maybe the two teams at the bottom of the table, right? And the games is lousy, the games don't have nothing in it. But you now have to remember that, hey, I am an international referee, so I have to take something from this game. I have to think that I'm doing a game between USA and Mexico, right? And you have to use those things to motivate yourself to do those games, because at the end of the day, the standard between the Jamaica football and the international football is totally different, right? So how do you prepare yourself from the local level to the international level? And that is very important, right? And as I said to you before, you have to take those games as serious as you can, and you also have to think about the big games that you will get appointed for, and you have to use those games to prepare you. And that is how you have to prepare yourself from the local to the international. In terms of the international games, first of all, when you reach to the stadium, the whole atmosphere as to how the team officials greet you, it gives you a different atmosphere, it gives you a different taste from how you've been treated at your local level, right? When you go into your dressing room and you look in your dressing room, you have sometimes you have your fridge in there, you have your drink, you have your food, you have your fruits, you have your snack. Those things motivate you when you go on the field. It just gives you a different feeling as a referee. So there are a lot of different things that happen at the international level, and it starts from there. It starts from when you arrive at the country, how they treat you, right? When you go to the game at the stadium, how they treat you, right? When you go on the field to ref, the standard, as I said before, is very high. The spectators know you don't hear no abuse. So of course you will hear if you are in a Spanish country, you will hear some of the spectators say bicho, pucha, puta, right? But the fans and the spectators who are at the game, you don't hear their under referees, right? You blow for your foul, you don't see the players in their one another face, you don't see they show dissent to the referees. So it's a big difference in terms of how the players behave professionally, and those players play football. One thing I can tell you, those players don't want you stop the game for some little minor fouls. Out here is a little bit different. A man touch a man, the referee want you call foul feet. Internationally, it's a big difference. These players want to play. If you call a little soft foul, they will say, hey, come on, referee man, allow the game to play. Right? So it's a big difference between the international and the local. But at the end of the day, you have to prepare yourself from the local to get to the international. But you have to use that to help you, to develop you, because we all know that in Jamaica, our football is not where we want it to be, and we hope that one day it will reach. But you have to use your local games to prepare you for international games, because there's no other game there for you to ref, right? So you have to use it and use it meaningful.
I love that because what you mentioned to me just now is that the gap between the local football and the international football is so wide. The professionalism, because one of the most important things is the professionalism. So now, when you have a game, do you think mentally or unconsciously you tend to make way better calls, or you're more conscious about your calls when you're actually reffing the international games versus reffing a local game? Does it come into your mind that, hey, guess what, this is an international game, I am being scrutinized on a different level, and as such, I am a bit more, as you'd say, skeptical about the calls that I would make? Is it, or is it just natural that you just, as a referee, it's just something natural for you?
The answer to your question, straightforward, yes, it is natural. So, not because you're doing a game, even at the parish level, where you do a game at your Division 1 or at your Division 2, or even a primary school game, it doesn't matter, right? You have to develop this type of attitude that whenever you ref, you give the game exactly what it deserves. You don't take anything from the game and you don't add anything from the game. You have to treat every game the same because everywhere you go, the law does not change. So when I'm doing a local game versus an international game, I don't say, boy, this is a local game, I can do this. Right? And when I'm doing an international game, I say, oh, you have to be on my cues because you have to use those local games to prepare you for the international games. Right? And a matter of fact, now in Jamaica, it's just that we don't have that amount of cameras to pick up most of the things that the referees see. But you do have assessors, right? So even when you're doing your local games, especially at the Premier League level, you have assessors. For the past 6 or 7 years, we have been using assessors who would have come to the game and they would have assessed referees. So what we are trying to do, and I just want to say big up to Dave Meikle and Victor Stewart. Of course, Dave Meikle is the head of refereeing in the Caribbean, and Victor Stewart is the head of refereeing in Jamaica, right? And those are the ones who are responsible for the development of refereeing in Jamaica and the Caribbean. I just want to say big up to them. And I just want to say continue doing the good job they have been doing, right? So you have been prepared locally for the international games, right? So I don't stop for a minute to say I am doing a local games. I can take things for granted, right? Because if you do that, then it means that you're not professional, right? And you have to do the things continuously to get better, right? You talk about repetition, repetition. So what you do locally, it must be what you want to do internationally. And I use those to prepare myself. So I use my local games and I take it as international games, even though we know that the standard and whatever is not where you want it to be. But you have to use your local games to prepare you for the international games. And that's what you have to use as your motivation. Tell yourself, hey, me I do a game between Honduras and Costa Rica, right? And those games are not easy games to ref. And once you go into the game with that mindset, then you are always want to be on your A. You don't want to miss a penalty. You don't want to miss a foul, right? You don't want to send off a player when you're supposed to show him a yellow card. And these things will help you to develop what you need to develop to go into those international games. So, no, I don't take things for granted at the local level. No, I don't do that.
No, I'm gonna ask, have you, as a referee, because I know sometimes that referee may call and after you go back and you look at the game and you'll be like, man, that one missed me. No, as a referee, have you ever gone back to a game and you'll be like, man, that call, how could I make that call? What was the most controversial call you can think of that you have made?
All right. I think the most controversial call I would have made, and to answer your question, yes. As a referee, and remember, you're a human being, and as a human being, you're prone to make mistake. What you don't want to do as a referee is to make mistake that influence the outcome of the game, right? And that is very, very, very bad. You come under serious pressure when you do that, right? When your decision would have influenced the result of the game. So you should have called a penalty. You did not call a penalty, and the team who should have been awarded the penalty, they would have lost the game. Then your decision will have influenced that result. And those things are not good things that you want to do as a referee. But I would have made a couple of decisions that I would have gone back to say that, hey, I should have do that, I should not do that. And to answer your question, yes, I think my most controversial decision, one of my most controversial decision I would have made, I think was a game between Arnett Gardens and Waterhouse, right? Where there was a decision where I think I go for a corner, and then I go penalty. Right. So it was a situation where the player get foul and the ball kick and go outside, and I then go corner and then go penalty. Right. So that was a controversial decision that I make, that still stand out in my mind now. And of course, there are others that I would have made, and every referee would have gone through that stage of their refereeing career.
Yeah, but I know because sometimes I sit and I watch some of these programs on TV, and you'd hear some referee going back, all right, and they're
Yeah.
international referee, FIFA referee like yourself, go back and they look back at some games, and they could say that that game and that call I made at that time was I can't believe that I made that call at that time. So as I said,
Right.
it's the human factor that will never change. That is always going
That
to
will
happen.
never. Right.
No,
That will
that is
never.
always going to
Never.
happen. But I just wanted to bring that out. To, as I said, the human factor.
Not a
Now,
problem.
so as it relates to games, as a referee, have you ever received a game and you'd be like, oh man, wow, that's the game. That game that stood out in your mind to say, that game.
Um, Locally or generally?
Just generally.
Yeah, there would have been a lot of appointments that I would have received. Some of the times I even know, and I'm gonna speak about locally. Um, and I just want to use this opportunity to think that in terms of my local career, this is one of my best moments in refereeing. I just want to, now that I remember, I just want to talk about it. I remember, I think it was 2007 season. There was a mid-season final between Reno and Harborview at Stets. Those times used to have the mid-season final.
Yeah.
And I think the year before that, because I went on the list 2008. So I think that would have been the 2007, 2008 season. The 2006, 2007 season, which I did fairly well in the season. And I think at that year I should have been promoted to the FIFA list. And I did not. And I was a little bit upset that based on my performance in that season, I think I should be promoted to the FIFA list. And I said, you know what, I have to use the 2007, 2008 season to kick down that door because obviously me I push it, but it now open. So I'm going to kick it off now. Right. And I remember that game I was appointed to do the mid-season final between Reno and Harborview. And I remember this moment, I think this guy used to name Fabian Blake. He used to play for Reno. I think Reno win the game 1-0. Boop, this player was driven through midfield. He was fouled. Fouled. And when I look and assess the situation, I see where the ball was going to one of the Reno teammates who would have a clear opportunity. Right? And the same Blake who was fouled, he get up, get the momentum, and he get up and he win back the ball. And I realize that he can win back the ball. And I signal play. And right after I do that, he get by another player. And the same foul again. So it was two situations in the game that the player was fouled. The second one, I look again, I assess it, and I say, oh, this is a potential attack that can develop in a goal. Come on, you have to allow it. And I allow the play to continue in that second situation. And from that, a goal was result. And Reno win the game 1-0. And I know that most of my colleagues would have remembered the situation. And I think that is one of my best moment in local football. Maybe my best moment in refereeing. But I would have to recheck and see. I have other situations. So that would have been my moment in refereeing. So to get back to the question that you asked, yes, I would have get appointment to games that I would have said, yes, I really want this game. And of course, there would have been games that you would have looked at the fixtures like the Wednesday before the Premier League, and you'd have said, hey, this game is going to be you. So most of the times when I get the game, it is not a surprise because based on where the teams are in the table and based on who ref the game before, because there are a lot of technicality that they use to ref the game. Appoint the referees. So there are several times when I get the appointment, I am not a little bit surprised because based on what happened before, I know that this game would have been mind game, right? But in terms of internationally, there have been a lot of games that I would have been appointed for, and I say, oh, for example, I remember appointed to the game between LA Galaxy and Toronto in Canada. That was a quarterfinal games. Those times you have Beckham was playing for LA Galaxy. Yeah, well, I would have been received appointment with USA and Mexico, and I said, whoa. So those are games that you would have received appointment for, and you are really happy to see these games sent to your email to say, hey, you are down to do these games. Trust me. So yes, there are games that you really feel nice and good when you see the appointment comes in.
I have to say congratulations again, man. Honestly, man. Because you must be doing something good, bro, for you to be on top of the table. Top of the table, because that is the pinnacle of the professional, of the profession.
Right.
That's the pinnacle of the profession. You're a FIFA referee. And getting games like those, bro. Man, I have to congratulate you, man. Honestly, I have to congratulate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much,
And
man. Thanks.
definitely, I have to really congratulate you, bro. That means you're doing something good, man. You're doing
Yeah.
something good, and I do hope that I'm not savvy. I'm not privy with the information as it relates to how many FIFA referees we have back home. But for you to be awarded those games, right? You must be doing something good, bro. You must be doing something good. And as I said, congratulations again, man. Honestly, congratulations again.
All right. So you would have mentioned in terms of how many referees we have back home, and that is internationally. Presently, we have 3 male and we have 1 female. So we presently have 4 FIFA referees on the list, 3 male and 1 female. In terms of the assistant side, I know we have 3 assistant referees, and we have, I think it's 6 or 7 male assistant referees. And it is very important that I talk a little about refereeing in Jamaica, and I don't want to talk about myself. I really want to highlight what is happening. And of course, persons would have known in terms of refereeing in Jamaica, we would have been the top country in the Caribbean in terms of refereeing being appointed to games and in top competition, and one of the powerhouse country in CONCACAF, right? So that is a big achievement. And again, we want to say thanks to all the persons who have contributed to the development of refereeing in Jamaica. Of course, we have persons like Peter Prendergast, who also is a FIFA instructor in the country, and he would have contributed a lot to the development of referee, and who would have been one of our World Cup referees, right? We want to talk about Owen Powell, right? We want to talk about Paulette Riley. Paulette Riley would have been to World Cup and Olympics. We want to talk about Stacey and Grayson, those persons, Cardella Samuels, right? Those persons would have been to World Tournament as referees. So Jamaica would have done so well in terms of refereeing and would have highly recognized by CONCACAF, right? In terms of what is happening now, and it is very important. And I just want to say that our refereeing is the best area of the football in Jamaica, right? Not even our regular boys. Refereeing is now the top rank area, right? CONCACAF just rank the areas in Jamaica, right? They rank your football, they rank your finance, they rank your development in terms of your facility, they rank your refereeing, and out of all the departments in the Jamaica Football Federation, right? Refereeing get the highest rank out of all. So we just want to let Jamaica understand that persons might see it different, but our refereeing is really, really doing so well. And just to say that right now, in terms of the female side, we all aware that Princess would have gone to 2 female World Cup already. She'd have gone to 20, I think 2026, and she'd have gone to 2029 the other day. 19, sorry. And she and Stacey, not Stacey, she and Stephanie Dale Easing would have gone to the last World Cup that our regular girls will have represent us, which is a 2019 World Cup. And now our 4 female FIFA referees are on a short listed list for the upcoming female World Cup. That is no ordinary achievement,
No,
right?
can't.
And that is Odette Hamilton. She is a referee. We are talking about Josette Kerr Wilson. We are talking about Princess Brown Mayer. And we're talking about Stephanie Dale Ilsing. Those four referees are on a short list that are down to do preparation for the upcoming Female World Cup. We also have our Daniel Parchment, who is presently on the Tier 1 referee. He would have worked as fourth official in the Champions League finals maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So he would have been on the CONCACAF Tier 1. We have O'Shea Nation, who is also on the go, is doing well. And this is very important and significant. Nicholas Anderson, who is an assistant referee, would have gone to the Under 17 World Cup maybe a year or two ago. He is now on the list. I think he'll leave in a week or two. He will go into the FIFA Club World Cup. So we are achieving a lot in terms of refereeing. So that is no ordinary achievement for a Jamaican referee. So we want the public to understand that you might view refereeing as not doing so well, but these are our achievements that we are getting. So we have to now take a different look at refereeing.
Referees. Yeah, we no, but Kevin, we need to get that out there, man. No, we need to. Because listen, I was talking to a coach, all right? I was talking
Yeah,
to a coach. He's from United States, Coach Bob. And one of the things he's talking about is about how referees help with the development of football in a country. How referee help with the development of football in a country. And if Jamaica, right, the level at which Jamaica is now, where we are producing so many referees on that level and such high level, that can only be good for our football. That can
definitely so.
only be good for our football. And when we highlight things like these, we can pull other personnel to come into the field, right? We can pull other personnel to come into the field. And listen, all I want is the best of Jamaica football. And I have to congratulate. It's just a pity I don't know those names that you mentioned just now off the top of my head. But I want to
Right.
congratulate every single one of those males and females that you mentioned just now. And tell them, keep up the good work. Keep up the good work
Yes,
because
man.
we need it. Because
Yes.
referee, as you said just now, referee has been criticized
True.
on a regular basis. And when we are doing well, when referees are doing well, we need to give them the plaudits. We need to. And,
Right.
and as I said, man, big congratulations to you all, man. Because I was proud. I'm sitting here in the Middle East watching the TV. Looking when I was looking at TV, and I'm like, hold on. And I called D. I said, come here, who is that? Kevin on my TV. Referee
Yeah.
international game. As I said, I remember Israel because Israel stood out in my mind.
Yeah, man, I remember that game. That game play in the US. It was Honduras versus Israel. Yeah, man, I remember that game clearly. I remember the game.
Exactly. And I'm saying, look at this. Somebody that I know, man. And we are doing well. And honestly, as I said, I'm truly proud of you guys, man. And just keep it up. See if we could get some more youngsters, get them in the field, and see if we can propel them forward.
And I will just use this opportunity, to appeal to those young men and young women who are out there. You will never regret become a referee. There are so much out there for you to achieve. And I just want to say that when you get into refereeing, because if when I get into refereeing, I was just looking at locally and looking at the money, right? I will not achieve what I achieve in refereeing. And I want to say that in terms of our referee now, it is not what we want to be, where your payment is on time and so forth, right? Your numeration is not where you want it to be, but we hope that the organizers who organize the football will get that up to stream. But coming into referee, you cannot look at that. You have to look at the bigger picture. And just want to say that it's not everybody would not reach FIFA. Everybody can't reach FIFA, but you have to tell yourself that that's what you want to reach, right? let it not be you who determine that you don't reach. So you have to put in that energy, you have to put in that commitment, you have to put in that dedication to get there. And I just want to appeal to those young persons out there in the high school that refereeing is something that you can earn from it. You can use it as a career, right? Just like how the players go there and they use football, playing football as their professional way they earn, right? We just want to say that you can do that, but it will not happen immediately. We have to put in that work, you have to put in that commitment, that time, and over time, you will achieve.
One of the things about football, all right? Another thing about football, a lot of persons, even though they love the sport, they want to earn from it.
Yeah.
And know what you are saying to these youngsters as it relates to it. There's an opportunity out there.
Yes, man.
There's an opportunity out there for you to earn significantly from football. But as you
Yes,
said,
man.
exactly, and you just need to put in the work. You need to put in the
Put in the
work.
work.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like I remember in a mark, and just to your listeners, I remember just becoming a referee, right? It used to take you sometimes to actually get on the list. And I'm saying that we have evolved. Footballers have evolved, and the things is not the same, right? I can remember some of our referees now, it take them maybe 2 or 3 years to get onto the FIFA list. So once you come into the system, you are young, and your after feel is very important too, right? Your after feel activity is very important. And once you come in the system and you are giving the system what the system need, right? Your refereeing is up there. You're matchculating from one level to the other. I mean, once you reach the age, because you have to reach a certain age to become a FIFA referee, I think it's 25, and you have to reach 23 to become an assistant referee. Or I think I mean, for female, it's 23-year-old. Sorry. For the female, you have to be 23. And for the male, you have to be 25, right? So I'm just saying to you youngsters out there, I would have made that bold step. There are a lot of players who out there who will not make it as a football player. And I would have made that step and see where I am now. So I'm just appealing to those. There are a lot of players in the Dakasta Cup, and I know Mr. Wellington is trying to get the high schools to pump some of those young boy and young girl in the refereeing. And I just want to say that I hope that this will materialize, because the country is really short of refereeing. And the head of refereeing, which is Victor Stewart, and the JFF department, referee department, is trying their best, and we are now appealing to those young persons, not just those who are going to school, but those who are in the communities and have nothing doing. I mean, once you have high school education, and you are somebody who persons look up to and can make a meaningful contribution towards refereeing, then we are saying to you that look this way, because there are a lot of benefits in it for you. Even locally too, even locally. So not just internationally alone, even locally.
Honestly, I am so happy that you actually is getting this out there now. Because listen, as I said, you make a real valid point when you mention that not every one of these youngsters are going to be, and it is hard. It's not easy to
Right,
transition to these super leagues, these La Ligas, Premier Leagues, and so on and so forth.
right.
But once you come and, as you said, dedicate yourself, you live a good life off the field, you can actually carve out something very, very useful for yourself by
Yeah.
doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and I must say, listen, man, you guys who are actually out there doing it now and setting a good example for these youngsters, right? You are making it easier for them. You are making it easier for them to come through, right? Because I
Yes.
can assure you, it took you longer
Yeah.
to get to where you are than it will take them if they should come now and actually be professional about it.
That's the point I'm trying to make. It is easy
Definitely.
now.
Yeah,
Less time.
let's do
Less
this.
time.
Where you took this conversation was not where I was thinking. And you can't go on place, brother, where you make me look for a referee with from one different perspective. If you understand what I say? You give me one
Yeah, man.
new insight for referees. And me I hope say at the end of the day, I hope you can affect the youths then like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you change my insight for referee right now. It's a good thing. Really, it's a good thing. The referee, I can remember. Let me tell you some referee, I can remember. Happy.
Mhm.
Happy will give
Oh, happy. Yeah, him still. Yeah, man, him still there. Happy still there. Happy still there. Do him thing, and of course, I mean, maybe back in the days when Happy was refereeing, right? And you know, some of us would have gone through that situation where, I mean, you do a number of years without getting yourself certified, and Happy would have been one of those referees, but him still stood by it, and he's now certified and now a JFF referee. So I mean, congrats to him. Yeah, man, him have him ID him and him badge, and I mean, I push him because back in the days, you know, Happy and my little friend and I think him dead, and I just want to use the opportunity to say condolences to him, Neil Johnson. He was in Trinidad and Tobago, and he died maybe a month ago now. Yeah. And we used to ref, man. Me, Neil, them call him Police. Whenever anybody guy used to play, when him all Police used to play for Glenmere, then he go a CC. I'm overseas now, a team brother. But the guy with me,
you know, Police, yeah, Police. Come when me play a Clarendon, Police, they are Clarendon at the time.
Yeah, man. And we used to come up across hill, man. I used to come across hill and run out the league up there, man. Me and the man bowler. Yeah, we used to come up and run out the league. Yeah. So, you know, those are persons who would have refereeing with me back in the days. We are talking about 15, 20 years ago. Right? And he would have passed away in Trinidad. And I just want to say condolences to him and the family. And may his soul rest in peace.